Hello friends, welcome to Meki Techie. Learn as engineer, teach as a champion. First of all, I would like to thank my family for their continuous encouragement and support for creating these kinds of technical videos in the public domain. And I would like to thank my mentor, Professor R. Surendran from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, for igniting me a spark of creating these kinds of video lectures in public domain. And I would like to thank Almighty for my good health and broad mind. And I would like to thank my friends, followers, my dear students and subscribers. Today's topic of interest is laws and theorems in mechanics. The mechanics is a very beautiful subject and basic subject for a mechanical engineer. In this mechanics, laws and theorems are very important one. Where here we are going to discuss 10 laws and theorems involved in engineering mechanics. There is only 10 laws and theorems in the engineering mechanics. Let us discuss one by one. First one is the parallelogram law of force. The parallelogram law of force, it is for the two-force system. You can notice this. The parallelogram law of force is the for the two-force system, and the resultant is found using scalar method. So this is the parallelogram law of force, which illustrates when two forces, say P and Q, are acting on a rigid body. Let me consider this P and Q are as a sides of a parallelogram, and both are at the theta degree. Then the diagonal element is considered to be a resultant of these two forces acting alpha of an angle from the horizontal plane. This is the parallelogram law of force. Here, the important thing is the resultant force. We know that P and Q are acting, therefore, the resultant force becomes P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So, this is the resultant formula, and the direction of the resultant is alpha, which is equal to tan inverse of Q sin theta divided by P plus Q cos theta. So this is the formula for finding the parallelogram law of forces of the resultant and its angle. And next one is the triangle law of force. The triangle law of force is also for the two-force system. What it illustrates is if a two forces are acting in a rigid body, that is, say this is the direction, the two forces are acting in a rigid body, considered as a two sides of a triangle. We are considering as a two sides of a triangle in a particular sense, then the closing side will give a resultant in opposing side. When give a resultant in opposing side, so this is the triangle law of forces. And next one is the Polygon Law of Forces. The Polygon Law of Force is for three force system or three or more force system. We can use Polygon Law of Force. Here you have to notice that the resultant are found out by a vector method. What is a polygon law of force? When more than two forces are acting in a rigid body are considered as a sides of a polygon. In a particular sense, the closing side of the polygon does the resultant of the forces in opposing sense. Let me say, so this is my uh, polygon law. This is my forces acting on a rigid body. Then these closing side will becomes the resultant, where these are my forces. So these are all my forces acting on the rigid body. And next one is the Lamy's theorem. Lamy's theorem, it is also for the 3-force system where the condition is the 3 forces must be in coplanar and concurrent system of forces. What is meant by coplanar? The 3 forces should act at the same plane. What is meant by concurrent? The forces or should meet at a point. Let me say these are all the forces acting on a body. Say this is a body, it is meeting at a point. Therefore, this is P, Q, and R. The Lamy's theorem states that the system of 3 coplanar and concurrent forces each are proportional to sine of sine of included angle between other two forces. Let me say uh, this is gamma, and this is alpha, and this is beta, where the P, force P, is directly proportional to sine alpha. So this is the equation it is giving the Lamy's theorem. Therefore, P by sine alpha, which is equal to Q by sine beta, which is equal to R by sine gamma. So this is the resultant equation from the Lamy's theorem we are taking care. Here, the next one is the Varignon's theorem. The Varignon's theorem will always indicated for the moments. Varignon theorem is always for the moments. The sum of individual moments. The moment is equal to m1 plus m2 and goes on. The sum of individual moments carried by the individual force acting on a rigid body is equal to the resultant of moment created by the resultant force acting on a same body in the particular point. Both are equal. That is, moment is equal to force into perpendicular distance, say 1 into 1 plus f of 2 into d2. It goes on, which is equal to the resultant force into displacement. So this is the Varignon's theorem indicates. So Varignon's theorem indicates for the two moments for the sake. Next one is the principle of superposition. Principle of superposition, the body does not change by the force when it is in equilibrium. We say this is a body, it is in equilibrium. Say here both forces P and Q are a constant and the body is in equilibrium. If we act the more than two forces or inside the any forces, it won't change. The body won't change when the body is in equilibrium condition. So this is called as a principle of superposition. Next, the virtual work. Virtual work is it is mostly a theoretical work. That is why it is come as a formula of the ratio of virtual work done to the actual work done, actual force, which is called as a virtual work. Virtual work done to the actual force, which is called as a virtual work. Virtual work is always less than 1. That you have to know. Next is the law of conservation of energies. That is, the initial energy, sum of initial energy is equal to sum of final kinetic energies. That is, the initial energy we can say of m u square, which is equal to final energy of m v square. So that is the formula of conservation of kinetic energies. The initial kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy. Therefore, of m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square so on, which is equal to of m1 u1 square plus m of m2 u2 square and so on. The next important theorem is the principle of transmissibility. The principle of transmissibility indicates that this is POT. Principle of transmissibility indicates if this is a body, the force is acting in this body The intensity of the force or the same amount of force acting on a body throughout the same line of action, which means if this is the line of action, the force which you can measure here, it will also give P, where here it is also give P. Away from the body, it is not equal to P. So this is the principle of transmissibility indicates the same amount of forces acting on a body through the same line of action acting in the different point of a body, then the resultant of moment is same. So this is the principle of transmissibility. So I hope you have enjoyed the session and I have given an enough points in the theorems and laws in engineering mechanics. If you have any doubt, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you. Thank you all.